All right, here we go.
Let's do it.
Welcome back, Bolt fam, to season 2 of Chargers Powder Hour. Colin Appel and Miles Raruka here. Now, in season 2, you can see our beautiful faces. We are live with audio and video. Miles, looking good as always, man. How are you doing?
Happy to be back, man. No complaints whatsoever. It's been it feels like it's been forever since we've hopped on here. I'm happy. We finally got some news going around in the league, including our very own Chargers to discuss. Yeah, man, it's a good day to be alive. How are you doing, my man?
Doing fantastic, man. I'm so pumped that we're back and we're recording again. We took a little hiatus there after the season ended for our Chargers, and just took some time to reset, enjoy the rest of the playoffs, of at least enjoy what we could, since the Chargers were no longer participating in them. But yeah, man, really excited. Lots of fun stuff to come for season 2, and just excited to kick it off. And it just feels good that we're kind of past the first slow period in the NFL offseason, which is exciting. Um, kind of that period between the Super Bowl and when free agency really starts to get interesting, which we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about free agency and what's coming the Chargers' way, and hopefully what players will be able to add to this roster. But yeah, man, doing good and excited to be here.
For sure, man. It's a great time to be a sports fan. We got free agency wrapping up, March Madness, one of my personal favorite times of the whole year, coming up later this week. And yeah, dude, I'm happy to be here, man. Draft coming up. You just finished the combine. Good time to be a football fan. Good time to be a sports fan, man. So,
Dude, 100%, 100%. Yeah, well, hey, let's do this like we normally do. What are you drinking?
so actually, we have quite a smorgasbord in my fridge. We had some people over last week. You know what happens? Drinks get left, and those are my leftovers for me. So I'm actually drinking one of the popular ones from early on in our season one. I am drinking a nooner. I got a
Oh, okay.
pineapple high noon, and now you guys can see exactly that we are not messing around. We are telling you guys the truth of what we were drinking. I got a high noon here in my hand. I'm it's March here in Nebraska. I'm kind of wanting some nicer temperatures, and hopefully I'm gonna drink that into existence with the nooner. I'm really excited to see what you've got going on tonight. I don't know if you're gonna mix it up or go back to the one or two things that were probably 90% of your season one. So what do you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably one of the few that it's in my main rotation
Oh, here
of
we go.
beers that I drink. But I'm sipping on a good old fashioned Blue Moon Belgian wheat ale. So
That's not bad.
no, dude, I love a good Blue Moon. It's a tasty wheat ale, and yeah, it's a good drink to have watching a game, or just out at a sports bar having a good meal. Can't go
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Citrusy,
Blue Moon's one of my favorite ones to get when I'm at the bar. Just it's a little bit heavy sometimes.
a little bit.
I'm trying to watch my carbs right now. Got to get that summer bod going here in March.
Yeah, I feel that.
But Blue Moon, High Noon. Um, I think we kicked off the season right, man. I think those are two great drinks right there. Definitely two very polar opposite drinks, but two that you guys are probably familiar with from our season one. And here we are, starting off season two, going back to the basics.
Yeah, and I should say we're open to recommendations too. I'm always trying to try new beers, and so if anyone has recommendations, feel free to throw them at us. Either on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you can find our social pages. But yeah, maybe we can get some local Southern California beers on the show this year. or this season, I think that'd be a good time too, and maybe review some beers.
Maybe we'll have to set up a PO box so you guys can ship us some drinks to try here on the podcast for you guys. So maybe we'll have to make some future plans for that.
Dude, yeah, that sounds like a good time. We should set that up. But anyways, man, gosh, like you said, it's been forever since we've last recorded. A lot has gone down since the Chargers walked off the field in Jacksonville, which was what, 2 months ago already. It's crazy how time flies. But um, let's get into the news, man. There's a lot of news going around in Chargers world, especially today, but also just there's a ton that we need to get to and just recap since we've been away. But first things first, I wanted to talk about the Chargers and the contract restructuring that they did. Chargers restructured Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams, saving a total in $40 million in cap space, which I believe also puts them back up at about $19 million in cap space left to spend. Um, what are your initial thoughts on the restructuring of those four guys? And do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you kind of indifferent about it? What are your thoughts?
I absolutely love it for now. Come next season at this time, I may have some different thoughts on that, but for now, I love it. It. For me, especially, big names: Bosa, Mack, Williams, Allen. Those are some big names that were willing to, take a bit of a pay cut to kind of keep this nucleus that we've created together. And I think that's something that I can speak really highly on. Is that I think that goes back to the locker room and just kind of the environment that they have put together. I think that everyone that's in this locker room is happy that they're there. And it shows when you have news come out like this, kind of people taking one for the team. That's just kind of my initial thoughts on it. Again, cap space going into the offseason, like you mentioned, the second we walked off the field at Jacksonville, it was kind of like, all right, now we got to get to the drawing board. And it looked like we were in some trouble. And we were for a little bit. I think we were fourth in the league in the least amount of cap space with negative. Do you remember the actual number we started out with before the
I think
restructures?
we're like 20 under.
Yeah.
So we had to clear 20, and then so we cleared clearing about 40 mil.
Puts us about 20 up now.
Yeah,
So
about 20 up now.
yeah, just something that needed to be done. Happy that it got done with no issues, and now we got a little bit of change for free agency, thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah, it's contract restructurings are always they're bittersweet. I never know how to feel about them. I think Daniel Popper does a good job of kind of explaining that it's great on the front end. It always seems like every year, whether it's the Chargers or it's a different team, maybe a division rival or just someone throughout the league, that they always seem to kind of like, there's that joke that cap space like actually isn't a thing. It's just a made up thing that, like teams always somehow figure to be cap compliant and then even have some space to go spend in free agency and add to their team. So on the front end, it's great because it allows them to be flexible this year to keep this window open for Justin Herbert and this team. But on the back end, it starts to kind of like, when you think about it, it's kind of depressing, and I'll start to think about it. I've thought about it a few times, and I'll just stop myself from thinking about it because basically one of these guys has to be, if not more, is going to be a cap casualty next year. Is
Mhm.
basically how I take the restructuring. I mean, this is an all-in move. This is an all-in move by Telesco and Staley, and like I think it's justified. This team did not really get a chance to be out there all together consistently this last season. So part of me respects the front office and the coaching staff being like, "Hey, we believe in these guys that we got. We just need them to be out on the field. Like, if we can get them all out on the field together, I really think this team can accomplish what what we think they're capable of." So, um, with that being said, who of those four candidates would you, as of right now, would you label the most likely to be a cap casualty next offseason?
Dude, it pains me to say this, just especially going off Telesco. I've always thought he's done a really good job of keeping the players that we have inside that building. I mean, you see the longevity of Philip Rivers' career, Antonio Gates' career. He's. I feel like that's part of player relationships with him is he understands what talents are fan favorites or what's going to provide the best out on the field, and he knows that that's what's best to keep around. But I'm looking at two guys right now off the top of my head, and I think I'm going to pick out one that's going to hurt me more than the other. But I think it's got to be Keenan Allen. Unfortunately, I just think he was banged up all year last year. We haven't seen that explosiveness out of him, and well, not last season. He had some moments, he had some great plays, but definitely the separation aspect, which is so lethal to Keenan Allen's game, has definitely declined. And especially going into this offseason, he's one more hamstring injury away from really not being anything close to his former self. So, obviously gotta hope that he stays out on the field. Obviously fan favorite, that's our guy drafted third round, and we've seen him go from that third round pick that nobody really knew into, top 10
Yeah.
receiver in the NFL. So as much as it hurts to say, I think Keenan Allen's definitely one of the top candidates for that position, especially when you look at the other receiver on the list, Mike Williams. You're not going to cut a dude that's, let's see what Mike Williams 28 right now. You're going to you're going to go for the guy that's definitely a lot older and has had kind of that history of injuries, especially in this last season.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with you on that. I think the other strong one, in my opinion, would uh, it's one of the edge rushers. I don't know at this point in time. I'm not sure if it would be Bosa or Mac, but it's got to be one of them. I mean, yeah, it's got to be one of them. I think.
Yeah, that was my second. My second guy was Khalil Mack. Pretty much just for the fact of, well, we got some production out of Khalil last year. He had a fine year, but just from the fact that I think a lot of fans wanted him to return to his defensive player of the year self. And, that's obviously difficult when Joey Bosa was out for most of the year. So then you got Khalil Mack getting
Yeah.
double, triple teamed in some games. But that would probably be the other guy I would lean towards.
Yeah. So not. I mean, look, we'll worry about that when the time comes, right? We'll cross that bridge when it gets here. Right now, the restructurings are a good thing. It allows the Chargers to be aggressive and to also re-sign some key guys. There's some key free agents on the team that we'll talk about here in a minute as well. That it would be nice to bring those guys back. Um, Other news outside of the restructurings themselves, big news coming in today. Austin Eckler spoke to his agent and has requested that he be able to talk to other teams. And he requested a trade.
Yep. Huge news.
Huge news. Man, this offseason is going to be fucking nuts. Yeah. What are your initial thoughts on Eckler? Does it surprise you? I know it definitely surprises me. I know it surprises a lot of people. Where's your surprise meter at right now?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised when I saw the news. I was actually on the interstate coming home when I got the notification on my phone, and it just kind of, Eckler's one of those guys that I've always felt like he's been a Charger for life. He's like I mentioned, big fan favorite. You got to love the story. Came up D3 college, barely made the practice squad, and now he's been number one in the NFL in total touchdowns the last 2 years. But I
Yep.
mean, the dude definitely deserves some money. I mean, like I just mentioned, the stats stick out for itself. He's a touchdown machine. But I've said it once and I'll say it again. Running back is just one of the most replaceable positions in football. Most of what you get out of running back comes from either your scheme or your offensive line play. And if X not happy with the contract that he's getting right now, I'm on board to let him walk personally. Or I guess we could see what we could get in a trade for him, obviously. But I don't know. What do you think we could get for Eckler? Because I feel like the trade market is so random. Some players go for way more than you would think, and other players go for not much. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? What do you think that we could get for Eck?
Great question. Probably like a third, I think. I mean, there's certain aspects of his game that I think, probably could call for maybe like a second or, higher than a third. But he also, like, when you look at his production, his average yards per carry, kind of how he's utilized currently. I mean, yeah, I would say a third, I think.
I
I
think a
mean,
third is fair.
he's not going to be an every down back. We know that. He's not a feature back, but he's a very good running back, and he has a knack for the end zone. But yeah, probably a third. And I honestly think that, and I hope that it's just a negotiation tactic. He does. I mean, for the production that he's put up over the last couple of seasons, he is vastly underpaid, even on that new deal that he signed, I think back in 2020, 2019,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So yeah, he definitely deserves more money. The Chargers should definitely pay him, and hopefully this is just a negotiation tactic. Because I don't think he's in a position to sit out either. So it's either, I think the Chargers either continue to entertain negotiations, or they just let it ride out and you know finish this last year with him, and then give him the freedom to sign wherever next offseason.
This is kind of where I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think the Chargers should pay him. Maybe I mean for the right dollar, obviously he should get a contract. But I just think for the running back market right now, and the kind of money that a guy like that is going to want, I don't. I'm more than happy trading him for, let's say we get a third out of him, and not having to take on, let's say that he were to get 8 million a year. More than happy to let him walk and keep that money personally.
Okay, but then so
No,
that
no, no. I
means
understand where that leaves us running back wise. We would have
right.
to adjust that in free agency or, at 21, which I don't know how likely that is right now, but we would obviously have to address that somewhere. But I just think that running backs is really a position that's just kind of a diamond in the rough kind of thing. And if we can find the right guy that we think can fit our scheme and really fit in there with, Isaiah Spiller. We haven't even seen Isaiah Spiller on the field yet. So who knows? Who knows what he can turn into? And Josh Kelly took a step up last year. Not saying those guys could be feature backs, but I'm saying they're on pace to be some sort of valuable option in this backfield.
How much more likely is it that Bijan Robinson is a Charger after today?
I actually saw the Vegas odds of him getting drafted by the Chargers were like plus 3,000. And then
They
after Eckler,
skyrocketed,
after
yeah.
Eckler requested the trade, it was like plus 600, like
Yeah.
something like a ridiculous change. I think there's gonna have to be a lot more, we would have to figure out, who he's visited with, things along those lines before know for 100% sure, but definitely much more likely now after that Austin Eckler news today.
Yeah, I think it's things are only going to get more interesting throughout this week as free agency finally kicks off on Wednesday, but also as we get closer and closer to the draft. Yeah, I mean, what issues of the roster do the Chargers solve through free agency, and what issues do they leave uh, for the draft? It's gonna be something to follow. Um, Staff changes. staff changes. There's been some staff changes around here.
There has been some
Um,
staff changes.
yeah, let's get into that, man. I think the big one, well, the biggest one, obviously, Kellen Moore, former Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator, becoming the Chargers' new offensive coordinator. Huge signing. I think it's a big signing for this offense. Complete 180. I believe from where this offense was under the previous regime and Joe Lombardi. Um, how do you like Kellen Moore? I know we've already had this conversation with us personally, but just uh, for the listeners, what are your initial thoughts on him, and what was your overall feeling about the hiring?
Almost just as important, Joe Lombardi is on the Broncos now. So
Yes, he is.
just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes.
So that's pretty funny how, sometimes the world just comes full circle on you. And yeah, Russell Wilson's probably going to be even worse next year now. So, but dude, Kellen Moore, young offensive mastermind. I really love what he's done in Dallas. Um, especially, dude. First thing I was thinking about is that two-back system in Dallas with Zeke and Tony Pollard, and then I was thinking about, oh man, Eckler and Bijan, this could be crazy. But obviously, after today's news, that's kind of taken a 180. But yeah, man, I really love coaches. I don't know about you, but I love like these younger coaches because it feels like that they are the ones that are getting the most success in the league. You see dudes like Mike McDaniel and let's see, Matt like LaFleur and Sean McVay. It feels like these young dudes kind of bring almost like a new swagger in that players really buy into. And just knowing, Dallas had number one offense, I believe, in yards per game last year when Dak was healthy. And then this last year, I believe they were still top 10. So
Mhm.
I really like what he's going to bring to the table for us. Miles ahead of Joe Lombardi. Um, and yeah, I love the hiring, man. I assume you feel the same. I think we've talked about it, but
Yeah, I love the hiring. I think we were so ready to be rid of Lombardi that we probably would have taken just about anyone. But great hire, great hire. One of the top offensive coordinators out there. I thought he was going to get a head coaching job this go around. I really did. So um, was surprised to see him not get one, but even more surprised to see him come over with an offense that has Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler? Question
we'll
mark?
see. To be
We'll
determined.
see. To be determined. But either way, man, yeah, super excited for the hire. Um, with that, Tom Donatel was also promoted to the passing game coordinator, which I believe I can't remember off the top of my head what what his title was before, but he was promoted to passing game coordinator, along with Kellen Moore being hired as the offense coordinator. Um, Other staff changes on the defensive side. Ronaldo Hill, and it's a very surprising move, leaves for Miami to go meet up with Vic Fangio and help run that defense that now has Jalen Ramsey as well. Um, Surprising move, but also that means Derek Ansley is promoted to defensive coordinator. So congrats to Derek Ansley getting promoted. And defensive coordinator is just such a funny role on this team with
Yeah, there really isn't. That's
With Staley being who he is.
yeah.
Um,
That's
you
why
know,
I don't really think that Ronaldo Hill leaving is really anything special, or two, it doesn't surprise me because it
it's
was
so
kind
hard
of
to
like
evaluate.
what does he do on this
Yeah,
team
it's
pretty
hard to
much.
they're hard to evaluate because it's like, okay, well, how much of it is Staley, which I'm assuming is a majority of it. Um, and so yeah, it's like how and when do you give those guys credit? But either way, um, love to see a guy from within get promoted. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I
And a
remember
cool
when
opportunity.
Ainsley got promoted, a lot of players, a lot of defensive players on the team. I remember Derwin James sent out a tweet,
Yep.
Sebastian Joseph Day, just saying like this dude is so deserving and like speaking very highly of him. So to see even players within the organization speak of him that way really gives me that makes you feel good as a fan for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and it just makes you happy for Ansley too, like you said, to get that opportunity. So that's exciting. Um, other staff changes. Jeff Howard was hired as the new linebacker coach. I believe he's coming over from Cleveland.
I
And
believe so. Yeah, he was some sort of assistant at Cleveland, I believe.
he is their secondary or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
I don't know.
he might have been secondary, something along those lines.
But he's replacing Michael Wilhoit, who was fired at I think pretty much right after the season ended.
I think he was
Um,
one of our first guys to go. Yeah,
yeah, in a more surprising move. But so yeah, Jeff Howard is the new linebacker coach. Doug Nussmeier, we're going back over to the offensive side here, um, announces the new QB's coach. Don't don't question on me on where he came from. I
he
can't
came from
remember.
Dallas, so he kind of came over with
Oh, you're
Kellen.
right. You're right.
Yes.
Okay. Yep, that's the connection there. Robert Muschamp, new quality control coach on the defensive side. So these are kind of minor roles now, but actually, yet yesterday or I believe it was yesterday, Will Harris was announced as the defensive backs coach coming over from Georgia Southern. Um, and he's actually, I was doing I went down a rabbit hole on him. He's got a pretty decent resume of defensive backs that he's coached or that kind of come from his tutelage. Trent McDuffie was the name that I recognized the most, but there were a couple other ones in there. So I was like, damn, uh,
Cool.
sounds like a solid hire there. So that's exciting. Um, but yeah, I think that's just about it for staff changes, unless I'm leaving anyone out. But um,
Real quickly, I got a quick question for you just now that we pivoted back over to the defensive side of the ball. So I believe a report came out only like a week or so after the playoff game versus Jacksonville, and it was pretty much Staley saying that he does intend to play call for the defense again. A lot of reports have come out that as a head coach, if you're trying to run kind of as a coordinator or run a unit on some side of the ball, that it's almost too much on your plate, and it's kind of like you're giving yourself too much to handle, but yet you think you can manage it, things along those lines. How do you think that kind of affects our defense, having a head coach run your defense and not give the reins over to a guy like Ronaldo Hill or anyone else really?
I think I think my perfect answer would be
Eric Ainsley, yeah. But
no. I think it'd be a healthy combination, but I think it should be a collaboration. I really do. Because yeah, I mean, it's no secret that look, just managing the game, managing a sideline outside of I mean that's an entire job in itself, and I totally understand that and I respect that. And it's tough, man. Like, look, can any one of us be a good coach on Madden, or a good GM on Madden? And it's like, yeah, because it's it's not real life, right? Like um, shit happens. So, yeah, I think realistically, I would like to see it be more of a collaboration with Ansley and Staley calling on the defensive side that would hopefully allow Staley to have a little bit more flexibility in managing a game, but also if it's a crucial third and long or fourth down or um, just crucial play in the game, he can jump back into the to play calling duties. Um, but I don't know. I think I would imagine trust is a very big thing in that situation. Does he trust his coordinator to take the reins for 3 or 4 plays while he has to go and manage some shit on the sideline, and then come back into it and pick up where he left off? Um, I don't know how all that works out. I'm not sure, on that level with
yeah,
coaches. Like, I mean, that all goes into it, right? I mean, that's a big trust is a big deal. But yeah, I mean, that's a great question, by the
Yeah,
way.
I don't. It's a tough question because we don't have the resources to kind of know a lot of answers that
But
go with that
I'll say
question.
this: I don't feel the best about it. I'll say that.
I don't either. So I think we can just leave it at that.
Yeah,
That especially when you see the leeway that he gave Joe Lombardi last year, it's like I feel like you need to be more self accountable and give that leeway to yourself as well.
sure. Yeah, yeah. So
So,
um, definitely a storyline that we'll have to pay attention to once the season is here. Moving forward, the combine took place last weekend, two
yeah,
weekends ago.
it finished up last weekend.
Okay, yeah. I when I tell you I was so checked out, I don't even think I might have watched like an hour of combine material, and then I've just been so busy lately, and I really didn't pay attention too much. But I think biggest news as Charger fans that we can take away from Combine Week has nothing to actually do with the draft, and that's the fact that Tom Telesco came out and announced that Keenan Allen is not going anywhere. And I know we just talked about, hey, we both think he's probably going to be a cap casualty next year. But hey, he's not going anywhere this year. So that part of it rings true. And I'm excited, man. That was wonderful news to hear, especially since your boy just invested in a Keenan Allen jersey.
We're not used to
I mean, it
we're
was
not
a
used to this
gift.
whole camera stuff.
It was a gift, so I didn't invest shit. But you know what I'm saying.
It's all right.
Um, so yeah, that for me, I was like, man, I hope he doesn't leave after I got a jersey. But um, yeah, so that was great news. I love how Tom Telesco mentioned that he's our Charlie Joyner, he's our Andre Reed. Um, I love that. Charlie Joyner. Shout out Charlie Joyner, Hall of Famer.
If you're listening, hop on. We'd love to have you sometime on
come
the
yeah,
pod.
come through. Um, and then the other takeaway. Well, I mean, did you have anything you wanted to add to the Keenan Allen news?
Hey, gives us another year to cope with him possibly not being in powder blue. So I'll take it.
That's true. That's true. Um, yeah. So, uh, yeah, my other big takeaway from the combine, and if you have any takeaways yourself, feel free to throw them in here. But dude, this tight end class in this draft is legit insane.
I'm in love with Darnell Washington, dude. I'm in love
I
with
knew
that
you were gonna
dude.
bring him up.
He is a bulldozer with hands, literally. At 21, maybe not there, but
Yeah, maybe
if
a
we
little
can somehow get
earlier.
our hands on him in the second round, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, that that's one of those like if he's there in the second round, 100%. But yeah, I think 21's a little early for him. But dude, yeah, you look at guys like I mean Michael Meyer, Dalton Kincaid,
Michael Meyer, the dude from
or Michael
Halloween.
Mayer. Is it Mayer or Meyer?
It's Mayer.
Mayer.
Michael Myers, the dude that stabs people in the horror movies.
That's Michael Myers.
Well, okay, whatever. Whatever. Okay, just keep going. Yeah,
Mike.
Kincaid, Mayer, um, the Kraft
Oh,
dude from South
Sam.
Dakota State,
Yes, Sam Laporta out of
Sam
Iowa.
Laporta.
I know Iowa sucks,
If
but
any of our idiots out wandering around listeners are on here, sorry, but go Big Red.
they're no longer listeners anymore after
Yeah,
that.
sorry,
After that remark.
we just lost a listener right there. But go Bulls.
But anyways, I mean, this tight end class is insane. So it really makes me wonder, what exactly are the Chargers going to do at 21? Um,
21.
I think, I mean, and we can save this discussion for another day too. We'll have an actual full on draft preview that will drop at some point. But I think it has to be. I think at this point, and I know things can change through free agency, and the narrative can change from now until draft week. But I think it has to be on the offensive side of the ball as of
Oh,
right now. As of right now,
the thought hasn't even came across my mind of us taking a defensive player, and let alone an offensive. an offensive non-skill position at this point. Like I just don't see a way in which we don't go tight end, running back, or receiver at 21.
Yeah, tight end, and the only other, I mean, the only defensive position that I could see being there would be edge.
I could see a way to think like interior D line, but just looking at the interior D line prospects, it's either going to be a guy that goes top 10 or they're like a second round pick. So
And looking at the availability too, though, of interior D line. That's what, because like the reason I say edge is because Nolan Smith is going to be right there for the taking at 21. I don't know if he'll go as high as 21 because of his knee, but
his traits are insane, man. He's a
dude,
little
yeah,
bit. He measured at like 250. At an edge, 250 is insanely small. So he's got to
yeah,
get
that's
some
not
meat on
big.
his bones. But
But he
other
ran
than that, like
239.
his measurables are just insane. So
So if he's there, and it's like if some key offensive guys like Kincaid, Mayer, Save Flowers, or let's say they're off the board,
oh my. So
uh,
who do
maybe
you think?
possibly, but that's the only defensive position I could see even being entertained in round one.
I mean, we're gonna have a lot of episodes coming up talking about the draft. But right now, if you're drafting at 21, who is your number one? Let's
Oof,
say let's
I
say
don't even
that
know if I can
Eckler is
give
a
you
running.
one right
Let's say
now.
that Eckler's a running back. That we know Eckler's returning to the Chargers. Who is at 21? Because I think that sways a pick a little bit.
Yeah, definitely plays a factor. If we know he's coming back at least for 2023, it's really hard not to go receiver. And I mean, man, if we don't start stocking back up on receiver, um, I mean that's the way I think. I mean, like if Keenan Allen is going to be gone next year, if he's a cap casualty, um, you have to start drafting some replacements. Like get ahead of the curve. And again, this is just another reason why the Chargers should have drafted a receiver last year, and they severely fucked up by not doing so. But hey, they draft some this year, and it all goes back to being all right. You know, if they get an early Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison or Jalen Hyatt, and then are able to come back, in a late round 6 or 7 and get a prospect they like, then hey, like stack up that position group a little bit. I think, and man, this team just needs speed. So if you can add it through that, that would be great. So I'd probably say I'm not going to say a specific player, but I'm probably saying a receiver.
Okay, I'll say it for you. Zay Flowers, 100%. No doubt in my mind. Zay
Yeah, I
Flowers is
would not
my
be mad
number
about that
one.
at all.
Yeah, Zay Flowers is my number one overall prospect. I think you and I can both agree that if Eckler walks, which it looks like he's going to, I need to stop saying walks because it's not free agency. He's getting traded, but you know what I mean. I think
I really don't think. I really think he'll be a Charger for the
so
whole season.
too. Like Eckler just
Like,
seems like
if is he a Charger beyond 2023? Probably not. But I think he finishes this year, and whether or not it's a distraction, hopefully it's not too much of a distraction. But I think I don't see him. I don't see him pulling a Melvin Gordon. I'll say that.
no, he's just not that type of person. I don't think, but I think we can both agree that if he's not a Charger this upcoming season, then we go Bijan at 21. No complaints. Okay, maybe not.
The only other I mean, I love Bijan. I then this is why 21 is such a tough pick for me, because I know there's going to be 3 guys that I love probably still available there. Guy Dalton Kincaid, Zay Flowers, and Bijan. I honestly like either one. I could probably say I could probably make a debate for being satisfied with either or if it comes down to those 3.
Yeah. No, I think
So,
this draft's going to be a lot more fun than last year because I remember last year, literally all of our favorite prospects were gone by the time we got to 17. So we were like,
dude,
I don't even
yeah,
know who the hell. Like, I think we were rooting for like McDuffie or something. But hey, Zion
yeah,
had a great rookie season. I'm not mad about it looking back. He had a
Yeah, we still made the right decision, I feel.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we improved Justin Herbert in one aspect of the game last year, and now it's time to improve his game in another aspect, and that's getting him some people to throw to. And that's kind of the thing I like about this draft is I feel like everyone in this fan base, and I feel like everyone in the organization is kind of in agreement that this is not only just the draft, but the offseason where we're gonna get Justin Herbert some people to get the ball
Yeah.
to. So
Yeah, and just look back at some of these Tom Telesco built rosters over the last decade or so. A lot of the good, and it's a good on him, and it's also a knock on Tom that he's built a lot of these rosters through the drafts over the years. Like think about these guys that they finally come up and they start to play real meaningful snaps for this organization. Now, the knock on Tom is that he hasn't been able to keep those guys around. I mean, uh, think about players like Kaiser White. It took him a couple years to come on, but then like by the time he hits his contract year, he's sought after by a lot of organizations around the league because he's a 3 or 4 year veteran of that time. He's getting better they're getting better every like Drew Tranquil, another prime candidate there. Doesn't sound like he's going to get re-signed. Probably going to get let go. Probably going to go somewhere else and have a very productive year. And good on him. But you know, it would also be nice to keep those guys around. Even going back to guys like Justin Jones.
yeah, and
Like, a
there's
lot
a
of this
fat
team
list.
yeah, this team is filled out year after year by guys that are growing up in this organization. They're getting better. They're improving year after year, and they eventually are able to produce at a very high level. But we don't get to see them at that high level for very long because by the time they get up to that level, their contracts are up and then they're walking.
Yeah,
So
very valid points.
we need to start replenishing that group of young guys that have outgrown their rookie deal and moved on. Guys like Drew Tranquil. Nasir Adderley is going to fall into that category this year. Um, there's so many to name, so many, especially over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And those are the type of players that Tom Telesco has to get back into the building this year. Like they have to hit on this draft class
Yeah,
to
and
set him up for the next 2 or 3 years at least decently.
yeah, Tom's a hell of a drafter, especially in the first round. It like you piggybacking off of what you just said. It feels like those first and second round picks are the guys that are the ones sticking around. The ones that maybe don't need all that time to develop, the ones that show those traits early on and are effective early on in their careers. And then you get the guys like, Rayshon Jenkins, Desmond King, Adrian Phillips, all the guys that you
Rayshon
mentioned.
Jenkins, yeah, that's a great
And
example.
and it's like they get here and it takes a few years to develop. By the time they're fully developed and ready to take on a bigger role, the rookie contract's up and then
Yep.
they're out the door. So I 100% agree with you. That's a great take. Telesco has a knack in the draft. He's found some diamonds in the rough. Also missed on a few, but you can't shoot. No one shoots 100% from the field.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's a great point to make.
So yeah, and I think the guy in that like that could fall into that category that I think, in my opinion, is priority number one on resign is Trey Pipkins.
Yeah, 100%.
Like if you're gonna sign, I think the writing is already on the wall for guys like Tranquil, Adderley. They pretty much announced today that Fajoko and Parham Jr. they're not being tendered. Michael Bandy's not, he's not being tendered. So they've already made a decision on a few people. But man, I would like to assume that Pipkins has to be number one on their priority list
I
of
wish
in-house guys.
And I wish we got that done today, though, man. We saw some massive left tackle, right tackle deals in general happen today. And yeah, Pipkins has got to be number one on their priority list going into this offseason. I mean, like other than drafting.
Yeah.
for re-signs. We've seen him take so many steps forward, and that's a perfect example of someone that's just reaching their peak. And this is the kind of guy that we need to keep around and not let go like those other guys we mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. Um, yeah, that's actually, yeah, you just made me nervous there, but
I think
I
we'll be
realized,
okay.
I
We'll
was
be
like,
okay.
dang, they didn't get it done today. Fuck. Hopefully that's coming soon though. Um, okay. What else was I gonna mention here? Free. So since we're already kind of on the topic here, um, free agency. Uh, I believe it was just about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. Not Michael, Eric Kendricks, former Minnesota Vikings linebacker, announcing on Instagram that he is joining the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's go.
Love it.
Filling a big void. So that so long, Drew Tranquil, that you are officially not a Charger.
Which
Um,
sucks, dude. I love Drew Tranquil, but I like Eric Kendricks as well. It's a good signing. That was a guy that I wanted a few years back when he was available, and I mean to get him now
yeah.
is still cool. So
Yeah. So wish the best of luck for Drew Tranquil. But it looks like as of now, Michael Kendricks and
Eric Kendricks.
or, fuck, I'm
Dude,
gonna
is
do
there a
that
Michael Kendricks?
so
Because
many
I keep saying
times.
that too. Who the hell is
Yeah, I'm gonna
Michael
do that so
Kendricks?
many times. I wrote down Michael Kendricks. That's why I keep looking at it and I'm like, I'm an idiot. But um, Eric Kendricks and Kenneth Murray right now are your two starting linebackers. I don't think they're done sniffing around at this spot throughout the offseason. I think like Murray's in a contract year. They're not going to pick up the fifth year. No way they're
Mm-mm.
picking up the fifth year for him.
Unless he
Um,
like comes out in his like defensive first team, but
no way.
yeah,
Yeah, no way.
yeah,
Uh, so I don't know that. Good pickup, Eric Hendricks, solid pickup. That's a position I'm going to keep an eye on because I don't think they're done there. Maybe they just add, another Troy Reader. Maybe not a starting linebacker, but you know, just some more depth there. So, yeah, Eric Kendricks. I don't know where that puts him now in cap space. Like nothing is official yet.
mm-mm.
The tampering period started today, which most people probably already know. But these are all just it's verbal free agency is what's happening from now until Wednesday.
Yeah.
Once Wednesday hits, we'll start to get more specifics on contract details and all that good stuff. So, man, who is on? I'm curious to know who is on your free agency wish list for 2023.
It's kind of
Like
shifted after
who?
today. Um, just with the Eckler news, my mind's just racing. Where can we find running backs? Where can we find receivers, tight ends, yada yada. But two guys come to mind, both on the offensive side of the ball. And I would have to look at the who's all free agent this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But Papa wrote an article a few weeks back about some possible receivers that the Chargers could take, especially some faster guys. Two guys off that list that really stuck out to me is Darius Slayton
Hmm.
from the Giants. I feel like we could get him for somewhat of a cheap deal. I'm not sure what his old contract looked like in New York. But Darius Slayton's the first one that comes to mind. He came out of Auburn. He ran a 4.39 in his combine, so a faster dude. Him and this one's gonna sound weird to you, but it was a guy that the second that I read it in Popper's article, I went and watched film over, and it's Olamide Zacchaeus from the Atlanta Falcons. And you may ask me, well, why Olamide Zacchaeus? Well, I went through, watched some of his film from college, and he reminds me of Tyreek Hill. He's slower. He runs like a 4.4, but he's fat. I mean, he's fast, but he's slower than Darius Slayton. So he's a guy that you use a lot. You can run some sweeps with him, kind of almost like another DeAndre Carter. I would want to think, but maybe a little bit faster. Um, those are the two receivers I had in mind. And then Dalton Schultz, the tight end, is a very popular one for a lot of people. Just mentioned, or I don't know, I guess we haven't mentioned it yet, but Parham not looking like he will re-sign this year. And then Gerald Everett sent out a tweet earlier and just said blessed. So no one knows what's going on there. But that leaves us with what, Trey McKitty on our roster for tight ends. So I think tight end is a massive need going into this offseason. Dalton Schultz, very familiar with Kellen Moore's scheme, obviously. Could be a fun target for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, no, I had not heard of. How do you pronounce his name?
Dalton Schultz.
No, no, no.
Yeah, Olamide Zacchaeus.
You're an idiot. Um, yeah, Dalton Schultz, Olamide Cicadas,
It's Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz. Oh man, that's funny. um, yeah, actually, I mean, I really don't have. I mean, as far as my wish list, I mean, looking at this list here, I really don't have a huge like. I mean, on the defensive side, we're going to get some interior defensive guys back. So, Austin Johnson, Tito Agbania. But I do think I would like to, that is one area of the roster that I would like to add to edge as well. So, whether they do it in the draft or whether they do it through free agency, I would love to see them add to the defensive line and then safety. Adderley is going to be gone, and yeah, I think that's a prime position that they can solve in free agency. And I actually saw, was it today?
I think you're bringing up what I was about to bring up. John
Go for it.
Johnson.
John Johnson, yes,
Yes,
sir.
that's huge. Very. I like John Johnson a lot before he signed with Cleveland. I want to say he might have just
Yep.
signed last year. So I liked him a lot coming out of the Rams. Very familiar with Brandon Staley's scheme. I
Yep.
wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if a John Johnson deal is done by the end of this week to send him to the Chargers. Sounded like he had a down year with the Browns last year, just not a great scheme fit. But obviously, we know the scheme fit in LA is going to be a lot different considering he'll be back up with Brandon Staley. So John Johnson's a
Yeah.
name I like a lot as well.
The other one that really stood out to me, who also has Brandon Staley ties, is Leonard Floyd, outside
Yes.
linebacker that just got cut by the Rams. So free agency for me is a defensive focus. Outside of signing Trey Pipkins, because the beautiful thing about if they re-sign Pipkins, the offensive line is already pretty much taken care of. It's set in stone. I mean, every position is filled, so it's not like they have to go out and address that. Now they can address depth, obviously, but that's not as big of a need. So by signing Pipkins, that really frees them up to go out and spin in other areas like the defensive side of the ball where they can fill out that half of the roster. So defensive line, linebackers, outside linebackers. I still feel really good about the secondary. I mean, safety, I think is going to get addressed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the good news is I think Tom Telesco hit on two late round draft picks last year that were defensive backs, and that's Dean Taylor and
Dean
Jasir,
Leonard.
Dean Leonard and Jasir Taylor. So that's the good news. That I think they do have some decent depth at corner, and at safety. I did Alohi Gilman really came on strong last year, shut me up a number of times when he
I
was
would
out there
agree.
playing.
Me as well.
So defensive back, safety, cornerback, like I think I mean, they might go add a piece or two, but I feel pretty good there.
You,
So
you can't
it's
forget about, total wild card JT Woods could be. Didn't see much from him last
exactly
year, but hoping to see anything really. Hoping to see him on the field at least.
right. Dressed. Fuck.
Yes, in uniform.
Yeah.
One quick thing that you just touched on that I wanted to touch on. Big. Let's see, what do I want to say here? candidate to get cut this year was Matt Filer, and then
Yeah.
put Sawyer into his space. How do you feel about that? I would have to look. What kind of contract is Matt Filer running on right now? But that could be something to free up some more cap space. But then you got to think about depth, because then it's looking pretty thin after one guy goes down. If you
Well,
have Sawyer in there, then
fuck. Does that mean could that potentially mean the writing is on the wall for Pipkins? Because I do remember,
I didn't think about it that
I do
way.
think I saw Telesco say somewhere in one of his pressers at the combine, maybe that they've thought about moving Sawyer over to right tackle. Like that's a legit option that they've considered.
I wish you didn't put that idea in my head, man.
So if Filer is still on the fucking roster, does that mean they're gonna let Pipkins walk and swing Sawyer over to right tackle?
Only time will
Like,
tell, but I hope not.
I know these are the questions that we need answered, but yeah, it's gonna be like this week is gonna be insane. I mean, it's already off to a crazy start. Aaron Rodgers going to New York.
Not official, but yeah.
Not official, but I mean it's official, unofficially official, um, and a number of other big moves. I mean, yeah, I mean this is one of my favorite weeks of the year. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see how how the front office fills out this roster and how we go about, yeah, just building this team.
I know, man. We've got some fun stuff coming up for sure. I remember vividly where I was when we signed Khalil, or when we traded for Khalil Mack last year, and I'm looking for that kind of rush
Yeah, I
this
don't know if we
offseason.
have that big of a splash in our arsenal this
Probably not.
offseason. Hopefully,
That
I
would have
mean,
been.
yeah, you never know.
I
But
was hoping for the Jalen Ramsey trade. That would have been my rush for the offseason, but
yeah,
fuck it, we ball.
dude. Oh, and then it just to see what Miami gave up for
I
him.
hate Miami, dude. I fucking hate the Dolphins so damn much. God, I
I
hate the
don't think
Dolphins.
I bold take. I know this doesn't matter for our show, but I do think someone not named Tua is gonna be a starting quarterback in Miami this year.
Yeah, 'cause
Like they
Tua's
have something
mid.
up their sleeve. You just know Miami's gonna go out and try to make a play at somebody, whether it's fucking Tom Brady coming out of retirement or
They just signed some. They signed a shitty quarterback earlier today.
Mike White.
Yeah, oh, sorry, not a shitty quarterback. The GOAT. Fuck, dude. I don't want to see.
Yeah,
Dude, I don't
we
want to.
talk
If we
about
play the
shitty
Dolphins
quarterbacks,
week 8 and we have to face week 8 Mike White, we're fucked. So I don't want
right?
to see that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, no, it's Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr's already he's got a new home. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
Raiders signed Garoppolo today. So they basically went from Derek Carr to handsome Derek Carr. So
yeah, Derek Carr to better looking Derek Carr.
yeah, I like Jimmy Garoppolo and Derek Carr are literally the same level of quarterback, like to a T.
Yeah,
So
it's the old office meme. Corporate needs you to find the
the difference
difference
between
between
these
these
two,
two
yeah,
pictures.
they're the same picture,
Yes.
but one of them's
Uh,
handsome. So
right, right. One of them's got just a shade more of facial hair than the other.
one of them's a model. The other one is Sid from Toy Story. So
One of them dates porn stars. The other one is
is a porn
a
star.
Christian pastor.
Okay, yeah, that works too. So
um. All right, man. Hey, look, I think I don't have anything else to add unless you do, but um, what a start! What a start to season 2. Uh, episode. I think this is episode number 66 technically. CPH number 66. So we're we're ready, man. We're off and running. And we will have our next episode out on Monday, the 20th. So look forward to that. Make sure you guys are following us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and we have a brand new YouTube channel. Make sure you guys follow us. It's the same handle at Powder Hour Pod LA, where you guys can find the full recording of these episodes on there, and clips as well that we'll upload there for you. And you can catch our audio version of the show on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you guys listen to your podcast. Anything else you want to add?
Appreciate you guys for listening. Season 2, we got a lot of fun stuff that we've been
Yes,
brainstorming
sir.
up. So thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you guys. That's all I got. Bolt up.
Sounds good. Bolt up. Let's get out of here. We'll see you guys soon.